I'm Savannah, and I'm taking you into the personal spaces of female entrepreneurs and athletes to find out what they wear shapes what they do. I'm here with Meagan Ouderkirk, a very close friend of mine, and she co-founded Hedge, which is a luxury golf and tennis apparel, and it's been featured in Vogue, New York Times, Goop. It's one of my favorite all-time brands for luxury golf and tennis apparel. You've built quite the roster of high-profile clientele. And it was actually founded here in the Hamptons, which is where we are right now.
That's right. That's why it's called Hedge, from all the privet hedges out here that sort of give this sort of exclusivity and privacy vibe.
Speaking of privacy, it's in some of the most exclusive country clubs. 4 years ago, I was able to help spearhead getting Hedge into some clubs in North Carolina.
That's right.
I love your story of how you went from Virginia to New York to here.
I was desperate to be in New York City. I was in advertising at the time and wanted to be here for inspiration because it's where the big agencies were. And I stayed on my best friend from college's couch for a couple of months, taking the Greyhound bus back and forth to Virginia. Pounded the pavement. I freelanced, I waitressed, I gave the wrong change to a lot of people. And my first job was at Deutsch. I was an art director there until I decided I wanted to be a photographer, building my portfolio, and was at an interview in a studio, a photo studio on 26th Street in the Starrett Lehigh building. And it's where Ralph Lauren shoots all of their web stuff. The creative director there had just lost their photo shoot art director, and there was nothing that combined both of my passions and my skills than that. Also, I've been wearing the brand since I was like 5 or something like that. My mom's been dressing all of us in Ralph Lauren. So there for 6 years, sort of. What it comes down to is when you put something on, how does it make you feel? Do you feel confident? Do you feel comfortable? You want to play tennis, go to a meeting and feel powerful. So
what is one piece of advice you have for someone who wants to start a brand?
Take risks, right? I mean, there are problems that need to be solved, and I would encourage anybody who has a solution, share it. Social media is a great place to start with that because people are watching and listening, and resources, have a lot of coffees. Try it while you have another job. Try it while you're doing something else. It doesn't need to be, okay, I have to raise this money and I have to quit my job and
go for it.
Yeah. And I'm still going for it. I'm still going for it. That doesn't ever stop. I have to go to my board meeting now. So I have to go.
I know.
Okay.
When I first started playing golf when I was 8 years old and I was going out with my dad, I would wear Bermuda khakis down to my knees. And I literally looked like the son he never had. And when I was playing competitively, every single brand out there was not producing feminine, beautiful golf or tennis attire.
The same experience. I learned golf later in life when I met my husband, and he took me to play for the first time, and I came out dressed for the occasion. And you can't wear that. He took me to some stores out here, which are limiting, but short, yes, which are actually Ralph Lauren. So, but they are long. I think what is important is to be able to carry out your style no matter what you're doing, whether you go to a board meeting, whether you are having lunch with a friend or going to a cocktail party or playing a sport. I don't see why it has to be different to play a sport. To say for the brand, transcend the trend because, they don't last long. The Love Shack Fancy collaboration was one of my favorites.
What is something you could never get rid of?
Blazers and jackets really lasted me through the decades of my life. Here, from my days at Ralph Lauren when they had sample sales all the time, and this was a sample. The cashmere. It's purple label. It's gorgeous cashmere. And of course, I collect vintage golf and tennis stuff with a lot. I have fun on eBay when I'm riding in a taxi. And
this is my all-time favorite Hedge skirt. It is the most comfortable skirt I've ever worn. What wardrobe item created a pivotal moment in your career? I have the pink and the white. There's a tennis and a black one.
It's
have this one.
I usually. The most complimented of.
Weston was shooting with us, doing all those fun bunker shots with the sand flying everywhere.
So strange. Honestly, in my first trade show, I had a man come over. Is this a golf dress? A golf outfit? And I said, yeah, no, proud. And he laughed in my face. So mortified. This is my first trade show and someone's laughing at what I'm doing. He's like, I'm going to go get my wife. I'm going to go get my wife. He comes back and she's like, oh, this is so beautiful. Anything like this. I can't wait to tell my friends. And he was the one man who was on the board of like 3 different clubs and got us into our first country club.
Oh
We on
my
it.
God. You never told me that. The thing, a lot of these really high-end clubs, exclusive clubs, still really bad about being inclusive with women.
Road to change sport.
What would you wear for dropping off the kids at school? I have sat at Butterfield Market and just seen some of the moms walk by. It's a show.
I go there a lot.
It is actually a fashion show.
I got a New York Times article about it, like the drop-off scene of the mommies. And when you get into this sort of new friend group that is other moms and it's preschool time or toddler playgroup time, what do you wear? Well, that was a whole new ballgame for me. And I had left Ralph Lauren, but I still have a lot of friends in the arena. And the preschool where we were sending our daughter was on the Upper East Side. And so I was a little intimidated, to say the least. I did not grow up in private school world in New York City. So I'm from Virginia. So I called my friends at Ralph Lauren, or that work with a Ralph Lauren as stylists, who came up to my house, went through my closet.
No, you did not.
And helped me lay some things out. Upper East Side song list.
Props to you.
Mommies that are, they know what's going on.
And
They dress very well.
what role has fashion played as a woman in business?
And not overdressed, certainly. You have to also know your audience.
You always know what to wear for the occasion.
People used to dress up for their sport, right, for golf. And they walked the course in a long skirt. Now, this one is cut on the bias, which means it's pseudo stretchy. It moves with your body. I have walked up the hill on Yellowstone Golf Course in the skirt. I have played tennis in the skirt.
No, you did not.
Of course.
How do you fit in it?
I was playing golf and my wedding was impending and my tan lines were going to be very important.
Uh-huh.
Right? So I couldn't have a polo tan. Was why I was wearing a halter. So I could have my back and shoulders tan. But it had a collar, so I could play golf in it.
The whole back is open.
The whole back is open. And
So, shoes.
my favorite subject.
The first thing I saw was how many Louboutins you have.
I know.
And nothing else.
I know, but there's a reason. It's because they're comfortable. I could walk, 20 blocks in those shoes. No joke. I don't have any Manolo Blahniks. I had no Jimmy Choos. It's just, they're not comfortable. I'm so sorry. There, I said it. My 30th birthday, we lived in the West Village. We were headed to dinner with friends, and the Louboutin store was maybe 2 blocks from us, right? Walking by it, and he's like, oh, let's go, let's pop in here real quick. Like, it's closed, So he knocks on the door, and the guy comes to the door, and he's like, Meagan, happy birthday. Come on in. Pick out whatever you want. Amazing. It was amazing. It was like a dream, obviously. And these have been worn to death.
The shoes should be worn. Whenever I go to my clients' homes and I see their closets, all the shoes look perfect all the time. They don't look worn.
So sad. We're so sad, lonely shoes. In Jackson Hole, Wyoming, on one summer trip. And we went to a rodeo at Lucchese boots, which I know my dad had a pair of. So I was sort of partial to the brand. But when I saw them, and they're already used, I bought them at a vintage store. But
the boots that I wear every other day are these vintage black Tacovas my mom gave me. She was 18 and she was a barrel racer. And so these were the boots that I have that she's barrel raced in, and they were already broken in. So they're wildly comfortable. And I wear them all over the city. You were dog sledding.
oh my God, we go dog sledding. Fry boots. I've had them forever. I can go out in the backyard. Not that I'm a real farmer or anything. I like to pretend.
Every morning when I come to stay at Megan's, we will go out to the chicken coop and see fresh eggs.
Oh, they're so fast. They're a hoot to watch. We let them range, walk around the garden, and they fertilize the garden. And we give them berries and grapes and things like that. But it was a COVID purchase. We weren't planning on it, but we moved out here we moved the whole family out here for COVID. First we had them in the bathtub, but then they could, you realize they can jump and fly. We came home with a nugget box, no joke. It looks like a McDonald's Happy Meal box. It's the same shape. It's just green. And they put the 6 chicks in there when we brought them back. But such a learning experience for the whole family.
Like every single item in here has some sort of sport theme, right? Which I love.
I love a varsity vibe. And on my honeymoon, actually, it was September in south of France. But Ralph Lauren, very Wimbledon. And I get a lot of vintage sweaters, vintage Lacoste,
Chanel is now the official partner for the Oxford-Cambridge boat race.
Of course they are great sweaters. Lariat, Laline, and Lingua Franca. Tiny sapphire ring given to me by my first boyfriend in high school.
I love this Hermes vintage.
It was a gift again from my husband. My brand color is green, and so it was really sweet. Hermes Kelly. This is stunning, which I love. But I had one classic tank watch given to me by my husband, and it was first Christmas together, and that was my gift. That it was engraved in the back, and it says, "To my wife on our first Christmas with the year." Love it. I wore it all the time. I took the watch off to play golf, and I put it in my... Well, the watch was gone for 3 years. I was so sad about it. Not everything was insured at the time. He got me another one. I always sound like such a brat. It was half the size. Engravement was like 22, whatever it was. It wasn't to my wife on our first Christmas. Point is, I found the original watch and it was in my golf bag. The original.
Always checking your golf bag.